Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. I'm Sheila Blanco, Public Information Manager for Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools. We know that a lot of folks in the community have a lot of questions. We've been getting them on social media. I know you all have been getting them as well, so we wanted to be able to give you some answers today. We will not be able to answer every question everyone has had simply because there's a lot of things still being worked on, but we can assure you that those questions that our parents and our families have will be answered in the next few weeks as we lead up to the start of school. We're still just under a month away. We have a number of folks who are going to speak today. We have obviously Superintendent Dr. Levett. From Data and Accountability, we have Mr. David Feliciano to talk about technology. We have Bernadette Ball-Oliver and Dr. Valerie Cave. They're here from Academic Affairs to talk about how teaching and learning will happen when we start the school year virtually. Everybody's going to give a brief presentation. Oh, I'm sorry. And she was standing over there. I did not see her. We have Ms. Vanessa Miller-Kegler, the Deputy Superintendent. She is also Chief of Operations, and she's going to be able to talk about facilities and about meal delivery. I know we've had a lot of questions about that. And so we, again, hope to have a lot of answers for you, at least more details, if not every answer. Everybody's going to give remarks for approximately 5 minutes concerning their different areas, and then we'll open it up to you all for Q&A. Everybody is socially distanced. We appreciate that. Everybody's wearing a mask. Everybody will take off their mask when they come up to speak, simply so that everyone can hear what they have to say without it being muffled. Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Ann Levett, will be first to speak, but before she comes up and gives her remarks, we're going to call up Chief Terry Enoch from the Campus Police Department to give us our safety briefing.
Thank you, Sheila. We'll now do our COVID-19 safety brief. As our schools, district schools begin to open or reopen during the global COVID-19 pandemic, public health officials say the best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to the virus. This briefing will provide safety information to protect yourselves and others in accordance with CDC and the Department of Public Health guidance. Stay informed about what's happening in your community and always follow the directions of state and local authorities. I want to give you now some COVID-19 safety tips. Wash your hands as often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. Another alternative is to use hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol. Wear personal protective equipment. We call those PPEs. Wearing a mask is currently mandatory. Clean and disinfect frequently touched surfaces daily. Practice social distancing by at least 6 feet. That's at least 2 arm lengths. And always do not gather in groups of 10. Symptom monitoring should be conducted every day. If you have a fever or 2 or more symptoms related to COVID-19, we ask that you stay home and take care of yourself and also see your physician. All SCCPSS employees will follow the COVID-19 work expectations and guidelines. Thank you. This has been your COVID-19 safety brief.
Thank you, Chief Enoch and Ms. Blanco. I do want to introduce a couple of other persons who are here today as well, and will be able to respond to questions that may come up regarding academics. We have Mrs. Mary K. Akins, who is our Associate Superintendent for Elementary K-8. We also have Dr. Kimberly Hancock, who is our Associate Superintendent for Learning Support Services. Many of you sent in questions that relate to both of those areas as well. As well with us today, we also have Mr. Ramon Ray, who is our Chief Human Resources Officer, Mr. Larry Jackson, who is our Chief Financial Services, and then of course we have a number of others who are here. You're familiar already with Kurt Hediger. We want to thank you first for your patience. There were lots of questions after our very extensive presentation last week. and we knew that there would be lots of conversations, but as you saw, the board meeting was pretty extensive. We think there were lots of questions asked. But you know, we've heard from lots of parents and staff since that meeting. They said there was a lot of information, and I still have questions. We recognize that it was so full of information that some of the things that we wanted to highlight may have gotten lost in all of that information. I will tell you that in comparison to some of the plans being released across the United States, I can say proudly that we probably covered every area known to man. Yet we are still working to ensure that we answer many of the questions as we are now reimagining school. That's simply what's happening, is that we've almost refashioned every aspect of the schooling process for the year to come, much as our own personal lives have been transformed in many ways based on the virus. I do want to make a couple of points just for clarity. Our teachers will be returning, or our school-based staff will be returning on August 3rd. They will be engaged in professional learning to include a number of topics from self-care and hygiene, and the new hygiene protocols, to, of course, becoming intimately acquainted with our new learning management system and the software that we have associated with teaching across the board. On August 19th, all of our students will be encouraged to log on for our first formal day of instruction. Things will look greatly different from the way they did in the spring, when overnight we moved to an online experience. And we want to emphasize clearly that our approach, virtual learning, is not what we typically experience with online instruction, online courses. Online courses, you get your assignments, you have a few opportunities to interact with your professor. That is not how it will work. We will expect that our staff will interact on a regular basis with our students, and we will have established schedules. As well, we will recognize and honor their points of development. So clearly, as some have advocated, they would like to have kids online from 7:30 to 2:30, and that just simply is not developmentally appropriate, and it is not promoting the kind of learning experience we want to have in a virtual experience. So you'll hear more about that today. Somehow, I do want and need your help, our media partners, in helping people understand. We did not establish ever that we would be returning to face-to-face instruction the day after Labor Day. We didn't establish that. Data determines the date. Data determines the date. So we are looking and working with our Department of Public Health partners to see when it will be safe for us to return to face-to-face instruction. And even then, we will have a lot of planning to do for a community of 44,000. That's 37,000 plus children and 5,600 employees. So it will take a lot. We will not be able to wake up tomorrow and we have face-to-face instruction, although we are constantly working on preparing for that day, so we'll be ready. But certainly, as some parents have indicated, oh, you can't tell me tonight that we're going to go to face-to-face instruction tomorrow, because they remember that you know what happened in the spring. We would certainly want to monitor those numbers over a period of time and make announcements pretty much like we're doing today, so that our parents will have the opportunity to prepare, and our staff. So I want to make sure that we get that clear. We do not plan to, the day after Labor Day, go to face-to-face instruction unless our community has changed its behavior in a lot of ways. So we will definitely make announcements about that change. So if you'll help us with that, that would be really helpful. You know, the virus, as we have seen, does not know how to tell time. It does not honor a calendar. So we are learning every day like everyone else. But I can guarantee you that the staff of Savannah-Chatham County Public Schools is getting ready every moment to welcome our babies back into the building. That is what we want. But we will not do it at the cost of safety. We will not forfeit our future for the convenience of now. We will not do that. It's very inconvenient, and we understand it. But working together, we will get through this. So we appreciate your being here today to ask some of the questions that people have asked. We've been very responsive through email and social media, but we think this is an opportunity for people to hear directly from those valued staff members who have poured hours, thousands of hours, into trying to make sure that we're ready for the fall. I want to also take this time to thank the members of our reopening task force who gave their time, energy, studied, and did loads of work to help us prepare in making that critical decision. So it now depends on us as a community to do all the things that the chief said. We must keep our hands clean, keep them out of our face, make sure we're social distancing, make sure that we're wearing a mask so that we are able to get the numbers down and get to see our babies the way we would like to see them. All 37,000 plus of them is what we'd like to do. So we thank you for your role in helping us to get this information out, and we're looking forward to answering any questions that you have today. Thank you very much. We're now ready to hear from Dr. Valerie Cave, who will talk or begin the conversation about our academic programming. Dr. Cave?
Thank you, Dr. Levett. Good afternoon. I'll be speaking with you for just a few moments about our academic reopening plan. It's based upon a virtual learning model. When the pandemic came upon us and we had to go into emergency closing, we had to develop a plan immediately. So we developed one. It was a good plan. But now we're better prepared to deliver high quality instruction, teaching and learning from our new exciting learning management system. Our learning management system is by It's Learning. It's a timely purchase for all of us because it's going to allow us to do the virtual instruction and provide teaching and learning anywhere, anytime, and from any device. We're going to be able to teach more, we're going to be able to do it with ease, and our teachers are going to be able to save time. It's very interactive for our students, our parents, as well as ease of use for all of them and our staff. It's packed with over 8 million resources. Imagine that. So we are definitely going to be able to provide high quality teaching and learning. Our LMS, our learning management system, provides our teachers the ability and the capacity to be able to do discussion boards, has a communication platform. They can do direct teaching as well as have recorded sessions so that our children can go back and review any of the learning that they might have missed. It allows for small group instruction and for that ever powerful independent work. So our parents also have access through Power School, through our learning management system, to be able to access grades, and our students and parents can have that real-time interface with what their children are able to do and know. We'll do it all through our focused curriculum. Our focused curriculum will be delivered through our learning management system, and it's based upon our learning management plan. All of that is going to be given in a guidance document that's very detailed and specific, and it's called our Learning Recovery Plan. So you can see we have had an enormous amount of hours working to get ready for our children to return. So through our Learning Recovery Plan, we'll be able to mitigate all of that learning loss that our children probably have endured because we went through the pandemic in such a unwelcoming time there during that time. Our children are going to be able to engage in instructional strategies through an instructional delivery based upon several approaches. So we'll have a pre-K through 5 approach, we'll have a 6 through 8 approach, and we'll have a 9 through 12 approach. Not only are we going to have those different types of approaches, we're also going to have some specialized instruction for our children who need it the most. We're not going to forget to meet the needs of all of our children. We'll have an extensive plan that will involve our children who have IEPs, also our children who have 504s, as well as our ELL children as well. Now, we're also going to make special arrangements and accommodations for our youngest learners. We're going to make sure that our pre-K babies, they have developmentally appropriate learning experiences, as well as hands-on learning, because they're going to receive a learning box every single month, especially designed for them. If you have additional questions, our Associate Superintendents, Dr. Kim Hancock, as well as Ms. Kay Akins, they're here to answer those questions. Last year, we were faced with emergency closing, and we did a good job reaching and teaching our 37,000 plus students remotely. But this time, we're fully prepared to do a great job virtually to provide our students with high quality curriculum and real-time teaching and learning, so that whenever they come back, and that's whenever they come back, we'll be ready to greet them with open arms. Thank you.
Good afternoon. So we are preparing our leaders and our teachers by first introducing our instructional plans for virtual learning through our virtual learning and our independent learning playbook. What we've done is we've laid out what our expectations are for the roles and responsibilities of not only our district leaders, but our school-based staff, our administrators, our paraprofessionals, our teachers, everyone in our Independent Learning Days playbook. This also really outlines what we expect instruction to look like. Dr. Levett mentioned to you about the instructional day for our students, and what we have done is work to develop schedules that are age appropriate. We've also developed specific guidelines for our administrators so that as we deliver that professional learning that we've been talking about, our teachers clearly understand what direct instruction looks like, so that when they are providing that live instruction, they understand that about 10, no more than 20 minutes of live instruction is appropriate online. And so they're doing mini lessons, they may be doing debates, other various activities. They also are providing supports in small groups or even individual tutorial. So if you are a student that can then go off and work independently, you may do so. But that teacher is still available during that amount of time, so if you have questions, you can pop back in that classroom and you have your questions answered. And that teacher is available during later tutorial or office hours to follow up and provide additional supports. So we've also followed the science and the research and best practices when we established these schedules. Also, we know that many of you have had questions about our Savannah-Chatham e-learning academy. So we'd like you to know that our links went out yesterday. We had over 3,600 interest applications. So on yesterday, we actually sent out those links and parents are beginning to register. Now, of course, we could not accept everyone, so we have sent out the directions and we have already seen interest. Our principal, Mr. James Heater, is extremely busy as parents are registering, they're having questions, and we are already working to make sure that those students are enrolled and that we are prepared to develop their schedules. We also, as Dr. Cave mentioned, through our learning management system, we have other resources that we have invested in to support our students. So we have Edgenuity that will support our 6 through 12 students. We have Odysseyware that will be a resource for our 3 through 5 students in our Savannah-Chatham e-learning academy. Lastly, I want to mention to you, I'm sure you're all aware of Georgia High School Association's decision regarding football and that announcement that was made on yesterday. We continue in Chatham County to follow the science. We have been practicing, or rather conditioning, and we have been fortunate, and we consider ourselves fortunate. But again, we will move forward making our decisions and supporting our coaches, our athletic directors, and our student athletes based on what is in their best interest and their safety as we follow the science. Thank you.
It's hot. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Feliciano. I'm the Chief Data and Accountability Officer. One of our priorities is to make sure that schools can provide every student with a portable learning device. Next week, we will start working with the schools to inspect and prepare existing devices that have not yet been released to students. We currently have 3,000 Chromebooks on hand and will be distributing them out by the end of the month. 14,400 additional Chromebooks have been ordered in early June and are currently en route. We expect to receive them around mid-August. In addition, we will also be collecting grades 5th and 8th grade devices from students that have transitioned to their next school. These devices will be sanitized and reissued to incoming students. We are targeting the last few days of July for collecting them. 400 Chromebooks were purchased with community donations. We certainly want to thank our community partners for assisting us with this critical and immediate need. Distribution of student devices will occur similar to what has been done after spring break. Parents will be contacted with a time and a place to be able to pick them up. It'll be curbside service. So a window will be provided with a date where they can come to pick up the device for their child. I want to expand a little bit on the LMS solution. This is something we did not have in place in 2020. And one of the key benefits that it provides is it provides a smartphone app to our teachers, our parents, and our students. So it'll be easy for our students to see the courses that they're assigned to, the activities, the quizzes, the exams, grades, discussion boards, emails, and calendars with due dates and events. Currently, technical configuration is being done. We plan on training the administration at the end of July, and teacher training will start on the 4th of August. An area of concern is also hotspot devices. Personal portable wireless internet access devices is a concern not only here in Savannah-Chatham, but across Georgia. This is an area of need, and we're exploring several viable solutions to support our students outside of the classroom environment. Currently, we will be providing 60 devices to our high schools, and just over 250 devices will be ordered through a SIG grant for 7 schools. The schools that will receive these devices are Hubert, Mercer, Myers, School of Humanities at Lowe's, Duren, Schumann, School of Liberal Studies at Savannah High. These will be available through the Media Center and checked out by students as needed. We will also be deploying 10 smart buses throughout Chatham County. We expect the equipment to arrive this month, and a schedule will be created on locations and hours of service. This information will be published on the district website. Over 95% of Chatham County has access to high-speed internet. We will continue to promote affordable high-speed internet at home through providers such as Comcast Internet Essentials, T-Mobile, Verizon Lifeline programs, and access from AT&T. We have published these resources on our public website along with locations that have free Wi-Fi service. We're also working with agencies and faith-based organizations to provide additional locations for our students. Many of the questions that are coming to us is on attendance. How will attendance be taken? Attendance will be defined by student participation. Okay, I want to make sure parents understand how attendance is defined for this coming school year. Students will be considered in attendance when they are participating in active instruction. Examples include time spent on the online platform, logins to the LMS, attendance during live instruction, submission of student assignments, student-teacher interactions, and group participation. Another area that a lot of questions are coming in is registration. It is important for parents to understand that we have completed the full A to Z online registration process. And it is very important that parents take advantage of that to register their child, upload the requirement documents. They will be contacted, this child will be scheduled, and a portable device will be issued. It is very important because the first day of school is not going to be the same as it used to be, where we would dedicate labs for parents to come in and register their child. Everything now has changed because of COVID-19. So it is vital for parents to register their child online. The whole thing can be done without having to enter the building. And then they would be contacted when to pick up a device for curbside pickup. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Vanessa Kegel. I serve as the Deputy Superintendent responsible primarily for the Operations Division. So this afternoon I have the opportunity, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to share with you where we are relative to transportation services, meals, use of facilities, and our PPE inventory, because that seems to be a big question and concern for a lot of our staff and for the community as well. Specifically related to use of facilities, all district buildings remain closed at this time. But we're in the final phase of our planning to allow our staff back into the building to retrieve any personal items. Those dates and times will be announced to our staff from their site administrators. So we're in the final phase of developing that timeline, just as we did on 2 previous occasions. They'll have the opportunity to retrieve any personal belongings, those who may be transferring from one school to another. If we have any additional retirees, we've worked specifically with those site administrators to meet those needs of those particular individuals. But on a wider scale, we'll be working to determine those dates and times when they'll have an opportunity to go and retrieve those items. As it relates to building access and being able to use district resources, we're in the process of developing what we're going to refer to as district resource clusters, where we'll have schools in specific parts of the area where there has been an expressed desire, a need to have access to district resources. Once the results of the survey is completed and provided to the superintendent, we will make a recommendation for her to determine where those clusters will be. They will be referred to as district resource centers, wherever there is a need for site administrators and district staff to utilize district resources to make it convenient and afford them that opportunity. As of to date, we have had 296 bus drivers commit to return for the upcoming school year. So certainly that's been a concern. Will all of your drivers return? What does that look like? So as of today, we've had 296 drivers commit. We're in the process of taking them through those DOT requirements. We're having them go through their physicals. We've had just a little slowdown as relates to their CDL, and we can expect that, but we have been working with the state relative to that. So we're getting them cleared for their motor vehicle records as well, and making sure that we complete that process and have the adequate number of drivers to support our efforts. So the question becomes, well, if we're going to be in e-learning, why is it necessary? Because we're going to need their assistance, as we did in the spring, for meal delivery. That will be a big piece for us to make sure that we're providing our students with a well-balanced meal. So how will school nutrition work, and what will be the requirements surrounding that? Just like we were going to start school face-to-face as we do every fall, there is an application process. There is an application process that must be followed if it is the intent of the parent to apply for free or reduced meals. The application online now. It is there online. The manual applications will be available Friday at our Hopkins Street site, our Operations Auxiliary Center. That telephone number is 395-1066. Again, 395-1066. And all of this information is on our website. If it's the parent's intent to complete a paper application, he or she will be required to make an appointment in order to gain access to the Operations Auxiliary Center. This will allow us to make sure that we're providing the adequate service, we're socially distancing, and we're working to keep not only our staff, but our community safe as well. So the application is online. We encourage as many parents to take advantage of that application. It is on the district website as well. So how will we determine who's eligible for free lunch and reduced lunch if they have to pay when we're serving based on our matrix that we used last year by delivering via buses? We'll be working to make sure that those students identify with identification cards. We'll have a list, we'll know who has completed that process. Parents have until September the 30th to continue to gain meals under their current status. There's always a period from when we are back in school to allow parents an opportunity to complete the certification process. That period does not end until September the 30th, but we encourage parents to go ahead and complete the process for the school year as soon as possible. That is always helpful if we get that data in a timely manner. Because you're going to have to schedule an appointment if it's your intent to have the application completed manually. So again, remember September 30th is critical for your students, for your children to continue to receive meals. As we did last year, breakfast is available at no cost to the students, but we want to be able to package breakfast and lunch together, just as we did in the spring. It is our intent, we'll be looking at the number of students that we'll be serving, we'll be looking at the number of routes. It worked effectively for us and efficiently, and it was cost savings to the district to be able to serve multiple meals. We were able to go to serving meals or providing meals one day a week. That's our desire again. Why? We don't want to have to interrupt the instructional process by having students come to a bus stop for meals. So we'll be working with our academic team, with our superintendent, to develop a one-day-a-week meal delivery. They will receive 5 meals. That way we are ensuring that we are supporting the instructional process in that critical time for learning virtually. So that's one of the reasons why we want to continue that same model of once-a-week delivery and providing students with 5 meals at one time. So we thank you for making sure that you get that information out. Go to our website. All of the information relative to school nutrition is there. Make sure you understand that September 30th, again, is the final date that you can continue under your current status. And after that, then the question has become, well, what if I come, my application has not been processed? We'll provide an alternate meal for that particular day. We will not see a child go home without a meal, but we are encouraging parents to complete the established process. There are about 28,000 students who are eligible for free and reduced, so we want to make sure that we continue to provide those meals to our students. PPEs, we get a lot of questions, well, how are you going to ensure that the buildings are clean? You're not face-to-face yet, but when we had our press conference back in the spring, just as we did then, we've done the same thing. We have ample supplies of disinfectant, sanitizers. We actually put it on display so you can see our new equipment that we're so proud of. We talked about being able to secure electrostatic equipment. We have it in-house. We are using it. You can see the products that we're using: gloves, masks, gowns, signage have already been placed in a lot of the schools. You saw some of it as you came up. Whatever it takes to make sure that we're working to ensure the safety of our staff, our students, and our communities, we have moved forward. So we do have ample supplies on hand. We wanted to be able to give you an opportunity to see some of it. Today, we have gone through extensive training for our staff as it relates to the proper following CDC guidelines for sanitizing and disinfecting buildings. As it relates to masks, fortunately, we were on that list to receive masks and thermometers from the state. I have a packet here that's 5 masks in each of these packets that will be distributed to the schools. On the back of the packet, how to wear a non-medical mask, as information has come from the CDC and the World Health Organization. So we're working very hard to dedicate our students, to educate our students and staff. On the opposite side, how not to wear it, how to make sure that it's fitted properly, to make sure that you're doing everything you can do to mitigate the spread. So I'll be available to answer any questions as it relates to transportation, school nutrition, operations, PPEs. And again, we always thank you for your partnership in terms of making sure that our information is transmitted and related to our families. Thank you.
All right, now, as I said, we will have a session for Q&A, but before I do that, I do want to bring up one other person to talk a little bit, Dr. Kim Hancock, because so many of the questions that we've gotten on social media and some of the questions you all sent in before the press availability today did center around students with special needs, and she can tell you a little bit about that may answer some of your questions before we get to that Q&A session. Dr. Hancock?
Thank you, Sheila, for this surprise. I'm glad to be here with you all. The specialized instructional plan is very strong. We have been working on it since the spring. It was, as Dr. Cave said earlier, it was good in the spring, but we have made it better. We have incorporated high leverage practices for our special needs children. We are doing differentiated learning plans for students, and we have the supports needed for our students, our staff with professional development, and most importantly, we have supports for our families, because we understand that it is a challenge sometimes when you don't know how to teach your child or you don't know how to deal with behavior. So one of the things that we're doing in specialized instruction is we're having hotlines. We'll have a hotline for behavior, and when you call the hotline, you'll be set up for an appointment with a certified behavior therapist who can guide you through some activities with your child or just give you some encouragement about some pats on the back about what you're doing well. We'll also have a hotline for parents that have issues with children not getting their IEP accommodations. They'll have immediate access to assistance so that we can get on board and meet with the principals and the schools to make sure that all of our students get the accommodations in their IEPs. Take questions?
All right, so now we're going to open it up to Q&A. Just let us know which department, which division you would like to address first. Because we are live streaming this, we are going to have the folks who are answering those questions repeat the question before they answer it so that everybody knows what was asked, because you may not be able to hear it coming from the crowd. Can you all tell me which division would you like to speak with first? Which division do you have? All right, academic affairs. Do you want?
Okay. What does the daily structure of a student's day look like? I know we talked a little bit that it might be different for particular age groups, but from start to finish, what did that day look like?
So we are continuing to work with our schedules, but it depends on the grade span. So our students in the mornings may have morning announcements, check-ins, or if they're elementary levels, certain levels, they may have, social circles. They may hear from their principal, advisement, homeroom. Even in that first week, they may have specific lessons to teach them how to use the LMS, or specific etiquette around being in a virtual learning environment. So lessons that are catered to how you operate in this new virtual world. And then they will move throughout the day through their different periods or courses, English language arts, it could be writing, it could be math, understanding that it's not like a regular school day. So if I'm a high school student who may be on a 90-minute block, that could be cut in half for me on a virtual schedule. Or if I'm an elementary student that is used to spending maybe 2 hours in a literacy block, that might be a little bit different or cut in half now that I'm in a virtual setting. When I'm used to a teacher maybe spending 30 or 45 minutes in what might be considered direct instruction, that now may be cut down to 10 or 20 minutes of a mini lesson and then some small group or some individual instruction as needed. So there's also time built in for play if I'm at a younger level. There's brain break time. We understand there's transition time needed. There's lunch time. And for my secondary students, there is time to socialize and get on those devices to be social. So all of these things are taken into account, as well as office hours and tutorial time from their teachers.
Can I have a follow-up? Sorry. Can you tell us just a little bit, do we have an idea of how many hours they're sitting at a screen versus getting instruction, those types of things?
Okay, so that varies based on the age group. It is grade span specific. And so what we really want to make clear is that students are not just sitting at a screen. Again, direct instruction may be 10 to 20 minutes. So for example, a pre-K schedule may encompass 4 hours that day, but screen time may only encompass about an hour. It could encompass 40 minutes. It depends on the lessons. For some of our, and I'll go to the high school group, it may be that screen time actually during the day could encompass 1 hour, maybe an hour and 20 minutes, but actual time spent with independent lessons, maybe tutorial small group, could be 5 hours, 5.5, but that's not their screen time. So we really want to make that clear to our students and our families that your schedule is actually the teaching and the learning process, but it does not equate screen time.
PPE question. Will the bus driver, for some students who may not be able to access like a mask or a gown or anything like that, will like a bus driver or whoever would be delivering that to students, or how will that work?
Again, to ensure not only the safety of our students, but that of our staff as well, we will have masks available in the event that a student, when we go back face-to-face, but while we're doing virtual, we'll be making sure that all of our bus drivers will have on masks as well as shields. They cannot drive with the shields on, but whenever they're off and coming in contact with any students or any members of the community, then they'll have a shield for added protection. So when we're back in school, when we're face-to-face, then we want to make sure that any student who arrives at the stop, we're going to be asking parents to make sure they come with a mask. Again, the mask is not only to protect them, but to protect staff as well. We'll have masks available.
So this is kind of just a generalized question. Have you guys received any pushback from parents or people in the community, anything serious that they brought to you guys as concern, and if there's a plan to fix any of those concerns that you may have heard?
We get questions all the time. Every day, parents call. We're able to address all of those questions. We've briefed our staff on how to address those questions and what those answers are. So we get those all of the time. I'm not sure if there's a specific question you may have that you'd like to share with us.
No, we're just going to
Okay, all right.
I think from our perspective, relative to facilities, and very similar to the one related to mask, is the cleanliness, disinfecting, and sanitizing. And are you going to be able to ensure as best as we can? We've trained our staff. We have brought vendors in to conduct training with our staff, being able to develop that schedule, not only before we get back to face-to-face, but making sure that those buses are disinfected after each of those deliveries is going to be critical as well. So that's been one of the things from the facilities and the operations standpoint, is making sure that we're cleaning, disinfecting, and sanitizing. And that's why I thought it was important to make sure that the community is well aware that all of our schools currently, right now, have equipment in place. Transportation, there's equipment in place for cleaning. School nutrition, there's equipment and proper chemicals in place for cleaning and sanitizing, with a dedicated schedule with supervisors who are evaluating and making sure that that's being completed.
I guess my question is just how are we going to make sure the students are actually getting what they're being taught while they're in this virtual? Are they going to be checked and pulled aside if a teacher sees that they're not doing what they need to be doing?
Yes, with the learning management system, there are a lot of components in place to allow us to track and monitor the process, the progress monitoring of all students. Students will be contacted, parents will be contacted whenever there's a time that we see that there's a break in instruction and participation of the students.
Okay, I have a few still, sorry. Number 1 and 2 kind of go together. So we talked about the learning management system. Can you guys explain? I'm sorry, my video is playing that. Okay, that's a live stream though. So anyways, what exactly is a learning management system? Is it specifically for teachers? Is it for students? Is it grading? Is it instruction? And then next question is, are teachers actually going to be asked to go into the building to physically teach the remote learning from the school buildings, et cetera?
I can answer the first question, the first part of that. The learning management system, the beauty of it, like I said, we didn't have it before, and it does provide a level of accountability where not only you have, let's say we used Google for Educators last year, so teachers had an online platform that they can provide online learning for students. But they're the ones that interacted with students, the administration, the school administration in Central. We didn't have a view. With the learning management system, what it does is it provides a holistic view. We can run reports on students' activity. We can get alerts to say this child has not logged in for the whole week. We can get alerts on grading, on assignments, on activities. So it provides a lot of tools that we need when we're talking about an online learning platform that we typically would have in a classroom environment. In addition to just instruction for our students, this is also a powerful tool that we can use for professional learning for our staff and our teachers. So since we're closing schools or we may close facilities, we can continue the professional learning environment from home or from anywhere for our staff personnel.
Okay, wait, let me fill up. Can you also talk a little about the MiFi buses or the Wi-Fi buses? Exactly how will those work? Can students use them in a neighborhood? Do they get on the bus to use them?
Okay, that's a very good question. As far as the MiFi or the smart buses, how we're going to deploy them, the 10 that we're looking at deploying throughout Chatham County, we are in the process of finding locations to park them. We're very concerned if we park them out in an area where, let's say it's too secluded or there's no shade, it's hot because you know the temperature here in Savannah, so we don't want our students out in asphalt sitting down in that type of heat environment. So they'll be able to connect to it, and it'll be a filtered connection process. So they'll be immediately able to surf the internet, to connect to the LMS, or to connect to educational resources that are provided. We will publish those later on, but we don't have the locations yet.
Quick question. How much is on the website for parents? We're going to try our best to get this all in the news tonight, but, you know, how much, I know because somebody else said they'll be online, so I just want to let folks know.
It is not all up there yet because, as I said at the beginning, a lot of these plans have still been being worked on, which is why we started talking about doing this last week, and we pushed it to today so that everybody could have more information to give you, because we know you want some details. We have built a page similar to what we did in the spring when schools shut down, and we had a COVID update page where every day, whatever new information we put out, it got added to that page. So there was one central location for it. We've already created that page. This information hasn't all been added to it yet, but it will be in the coming weeks. I know that there's a press release going out tomorrow about the signing up for the free and reduced meals that Ms. Miller-Kegler talked about. That'll be going out tomorrow. That will be up. I know she said it's already up on the website, but we'll be sending out a press release regarding the link for parents to fill that out tomorrow. And other parts of what you've been hearing today will be filled in over the next week or two. So it will all be there. It is not all there right now, because some of this I'm hearing for the first time today as well, okay? Anybody else, any other questions?
As far as enrollment, have you guys noticed any change? Have you been aware of any changes because of the plan to go virtual to start the year?
Changes in enrollment.
Not today.
Not today.
The teacher's question didn't get answered in terms of our teachers being reporting to the buildings, or will they do their remote learning from home too?
You can. Currently, our plan is for our staff to return to work on August 3rd. That hasn't been determined as to whether all of the staff will report to the building. There may be options for staff that are in those critical need areas to be able to work remotely, because we're making sure that all of our staff is provided with the appropriate care and concern, that we can make sure that everybody is safe. Hope that answers your question.
Did anybody have any other questions? We pretty much answered everything? All right, then I'm going to call up Dr. Levett. Once again, she'd like to give some closing remarks. Thank you all again for being here.
I'd like to offer a special thank you to the staff who have been preparing every moment, as you can see, to look at every detail. There is so much more that we are continuing to work on, and we will do our very best to ensure that you are getting updates on a regular basis so that you know what some of the things that will be unfolding over the next few weeks. We're all nervous, and we're all anxious, and we're all eager for the year to begin. I will tell you that we will continue to try to inform our parents through video messaging. We'll be working with some of our community partners to ensure that we are getting the message out there. But you know, you're the partners that they pay attention to. They tune in on their phones, or they tune in if they happen to be in their space, and they rely on you to give them accurate information. I'm very proud of the fact that we have a very up-to-date website, and we continue to make sure that that information, those frequently asked questions, are provided so that you will know what we're doing. And we appreciate your coming out when we have the opportunity to talk with you directly about questions or concerns that you may be fielding. We also monitor our own social media, and of course I have my own, and the district has its own, as we engage in communicating with parents at night, on the weekend, whenever they bring those questions forward, if we can respond to them quickly, because we know parents and families and staff are very busy. And so I may have this opportunity to talk about this today, and they may not have had the opportunity to get a question answered, but they are very, very comfortable with writing to us and letting us know what they have concerns about. The question today about attendance, because people want to know, how are you going to record attendance? How are you going to manage the needs of our children with IEPs? How about our children who have English as their second language? All of those are questions that people at various times have. We will also remind you that we have a television station, SCCPSS TV. Comcast Channel 195, our intention is to continue with that because we found it to be a great source of information for our students. We had some of our super duper teachers to provide lessons. We plan to use that television to help people remember how to wash their hands for 20 seconds and giving them the information that they will need before they report to work. So some of our teachers are already engaged in learning about our learning management system, and of course, many of you saw our pilot. We learned a lot from that pilot. So we're taking those lessons and putting them in video style because that's what people pay attention to. We can write all the dissertations we want, all the details, but they will listen to a video, and we want to make sure that that information is in bite-sized pieces for them. So you will see more of that happening. Certainly before our children report to school, before they log on, we will make sure that they know how to open a Chromebook. There's grandma who has not used a Chromebook. We want to make sure that she can do that, and she can do it well. And there's a hotline she can call for step-by-step directions if she needs that. So our intention is to think about how we remove the barriers. If we could, we would have the children in the building, because that is the best way that we know to educate children. But we do not wish to forfeit the future of anyone, staff or students, for the convenience of now. I would love for them all to be in the building. Right now, it's just not safe. We will establish a goal, however, with our Department of Public Health officials and encourage the staff and the students and the community to work with us in terms of getting the numbers down. So we'll encourage people, wash your hands, social distance, avoid large gatherings, especially inside. Make sure that if you're going to do something, make sure it's outside. So we'll do that. We'll make sure that we provide that information because it will take the entire community to make those daily numbers that we see go down. When those numbers are down, then we will be able to invite the babies in. And that's what we all want. But we also, as you heard, are taking into great consideration the needs of our staff. We talk a lot about when it's safe for children. But teaching and learning is a human enterprise, and it involves adults as well as the children. So I have to think about the staff as well. And I'm very proud of our staff members who've said to me, thank you for thinking of us as well. Teaching and learning involves an intergenerational kind of approach. We will have some special opportunities for our volunteers who have been with us all the way to stay involved with our students in a very safe way. And we'll continue to ask for support from our community with our drives for Chromebooks and other devices so that our children will continue to learn. We did not get an opportunity to talk today about those persons who do not wish to have a device, because there are members of our community that don't want their kids to have a device. So we have a plan for them as well. We have an opportunity for kids to pick up, as we did in the spring. We had thousands and thousands of learning packets, and some people prefer that. So we want to make sure that we're able to accommodate that. But we also will have opportunities for young people to get their lessons by using their device, and we'll have a process that they can get that information changed out on a regular basis. So much is happening. I don't think we can even capture it all. But I have a great staff whose first priority is safety. That's our priority. And I appreciate them and appreciate you for helping us to get the word out. And we'll continue to keep everybody involved, and we will encourage you that if questions come up, if you'll please let us know what they are. Our staff is here and there, and they are able to talk with you directly, maintaining our social distance. So that you can get any specific questions that you have answered. We appreciate your support, and we are looking forward to everyone logging on August 16th. Thank you so much for being here today.